Hi, thank you for spending some time with me today to talk about meal planning. My name is Jenny Beekman. I am a registered dietitian and looking forward to giving you some tips and tricks that can help you plan your meals in the upcoming weeks or months. To get started, we're going to talk about the benefits of meal planning, some basics, some step-by-step things that you can do now to help get yourself set up to really succeed with meal planning. Planning for your nutritional needs, we are all a little different. We all have different nutrition needs, so how you can incorporate that into your meal planning. And then where do you start? So, this is where the practical tools, practical methods that can help to make meal planning a lot easier and hopefully a whole lot more successful for you. So, getting started, the many benefits of meal planning. We all know that meal planning is helpful. But sometimes seeing this can help to motivate us a little bit. So, meal planning, it saves time, it saves stress. We are all a little short on time and a little bit stressed, it seems, lately. But when you actually take the time to think about what you're going to eat, when you're going to prepare it, when you're going to cook it, that can really ultimately save you time. And then you're not thinking about it for the rest of the week or the rest of the month, whatever works best for you. This number two here, saving money, goes along with number four, to stop throwing out food. I know people talk to me about this all of the time, and I myself am guilty of it as well. You have the best laid plans. You've created a great grocery list, and you know the wonderful meals you're going to be cooking for the week. And life happens, and you don't end up cooking it. You end up doing something the day of, stopping somewhere to get some food. And by the end of the week, some of that food that you've bought is now old or you can't use it anymore and you end up throwing it out. So, really being strategic about what you're going to be cooking for the week can help to save you money. And eating healthier, I think, again, this is something that we know happens when we take the time to sit down and think about what we're going to eat. Not only do we choose healthier options, but if we think about the plate as a whole, we're incorporating a variety of different nutrients, and we've got our carbohydrates, our proteins, and our vegetables. Versus in the moment where we may just be grabbing, a sandwich or a burger or something like that. So definitely the possibility to eat healthier. And then breaking free from the same old, same old. I have to believe that many of us are in the same boat where we get in a meal planning rut. We tend to eat the same things over and over, and then we get bored. So there will be some methods that we'll talk about a little later in the presentation about how you can really set yourself up for um, kind of breaking free from this and how we can manage that a little bit better. So, to get started with, let's talk about just some basics. My number one recommendation to anybody who's starting meal planning is to start slow. What are your greatest areas of opportunity? Where are you going to see the most impact? Maybe it's just a few meals a week. Maybe breakfast is really a challenge for you. Start with breakfast. You don't have to do 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. For me, I know I like to plan, I can kind of get through breakfast and lunch. I like to plan dinners for the week. Friday night, we tend to do pizza. And the weekends, we figure it out as we go. We never really know what our weekend plans are going to be, but we tend to eat pretty well. We figure it out on the weekends, but I know I need to plan my dinners for the week. Uh, for somebody else, it might be, I really don't want to go out for lunch every day when I'm at work. I need to plan my lunches. The other meals aren't as much of a problem. So start with just one meal, and then you can always go from there. As you're thinking through what it is you're going to meal plan, one thing that has been really helpful to me is to create a list of the meals you regularly make. So if you know that breakfast is your biggest challenge and you really want a meal plan for breakfast, start by writing down what are a bunch of breakfast options. What are the things that myself, my family, that we really like? So that when you're planning those meals, you don't have to be thinking in the moment, what is it that I want to eat for the next week? or the next month. Many people plan it out for a month. Make a list. You can always go back and reference that list, whatever the category is that you decide. And then when you're kind of stuck in a rut, you can go back to the list and say, oh my gosh, I haven't had that particular breakfast frittata in a while. That was really good. I'm going to make that this week. Um, so part of it is just setting yourself up so that when you are meal planning, you have all of the information in front of you. What really works for me is taking it a step further and making my list by kind of the category. So again, dinners are really a challenge at our house. And vegetables. I mean, we eat a lot of broccoli because sometimes broccoli is just the thing that keeps coming to mind. Have a list of all of the vegetables that I like, that my kids like, and sometimes you go and you say, "That's right. We do really like this 3-bean casserole in the summer," or, "Oh my gosh, I haven't had squash in a really long time." So just listing everything out, and then as you try things or you're out and about or you try something different, add it to your list. It's going to be really helpful for you with meal planning to be able to go back and look at what are some options. Um, if you try new recipes and then you're like, "This was really good," add it to the list. That's just the best place to kind of keep a running tally of the things that you and your family really like. It doesn't have to be complicated. A lot of meal planning is quite simple, actually, just thinking about ingredients or particular food items. So keep it simple and keep track of the things that you like. But of course, step 2 is really preparing for what your life is. So we can have a list of foods that we really like, but how do those fit into our life, right? So look at your calendar. Look at what the week ahead or the month ahead has in store for you. Do you have time on a Monday to cook? There's nothing, you're going to work, and then you have nothing going on in the evening. Maybe you make a meal that requires a few more steps. But on Tuesday or Wednesday, you simply don't have time. When you get home, it's going to be time to eat. So is that a leftover meal? Is that a crock pot meal? Kind of keep those things in mind. What does your week look like? And how do you need to plan your recipes and your meals for that week? Again, here I mentioned crock pot. One pot meals, one of my favorite things to do. I do a lot of my meal planning on Sunday. So I tend to have my groceries delivered on Sunday, or we go to the grocery store on Sunday, and then I prep for the week. Sometimes that means I make all of our dinners for the week on Sunday. If it's a really busy week and I know I'm not going to have time to cook, and we've got people coming from all different directions that want to eat, I will have the food made on Sunday. Sometimes it means prepping the food for the crock pot. So the meat is ready to go, or whatever it is that I'm putting into the crock pot. It's all prepped and ready. So when I wake up early in the morning, I don't have to be prepping that because mornings are busy around our house. I can literally take it out of the bag or the container and dump it in the crock. One pot meals, I love to have my produce and my protein sources prepped and ready to go. If I need to, maybe I'm going to do a one pot meal with chicken and some sausage and different sweet potatoes and veggies. I'll have the sweet potatoes diced up. I'll have the veggies cleaned and cut up. So when you get home, you simply are opening the container, pouring it onto the pan, and putting it into the oven. These are things that as you're doing your meal planning, you really want to think, what are these steps that I can take to set myself up for success? Um, and then leftovers, I know they're controversial. Some people love leftovers, some people don't like leftovers. Also, is there something that you can do with your leftovers? So repurposing them. They don't have to be the same food from the night before, but if you've got extra veggies or you've got extra protein, can you throw it into a quesadilla? That's kind of our go-to in the house is whatever we've got left over, we throw into, a couple of tortillas and make into a quesadilla. So really, what do those days look like and how can you set yourself up for success? And then go and look and see what you have on hand. This is where kind of the budget component can come in a little bit too. We have a lot of food in our homes. A lot of times that we've said we're going to make something that we don't end up making it. So really, what do you have on hand? Do you have that can of beans already? What can you plan your meals around the food that's already there? And this is where I also say don't forget side dishes. So often people will say their big protein source that they're going to have with their meal, or they know they have to include their veggies, but then they forget side dishes. And it might be as simple as a sweet potato, which is an incredibly healthy side dish. Are you going to have some brown rice? Is it going to be a pasta? But just, as you're looking around your house, what food items do you all have that you could use? Um, and then also reuse your weekly meal plans. This is kind of my go-to for not getting stuck in a rut. I keep my meal plans. Some people do a 4 to 6 week meal plan. They rotate them. I am not necessarily one that does that many, but I definitely will keep my meal plans and go back. It's fun to see what I did a month ago because I've probably forgotten about it if I don't have it written down. So if you've got it on your computer, on a piece of paper, on your phone somewhere, keep them. This is really a fantastic method for helping you to stay on track with meal planning, not get bored with meal planning, not forgetting about foods that you and your family have really liked. But sometimes we just need a different approach. You have recipes, and but sometimes you kind of are stuck. Like, I don't know what recipe to make. That's where I say the no recipe required approach is a fantastic method to use. It really focuses on this combination of carbohydrates, protein, and veggies. And when you kind of boil down what meal planning is, it's making sure you've got healthy nutrients at your meals. So I've listed some different carbohydrates here that I think are great carbs to incorporate into your meal planning. Quinoa. A lot of times you can even get quinoa that is ready. You can put in the microwave ready in 90 seconds. Brown rice, I've talked about sweet potatoes, lentils. These are all high fiber, long lasting, really healthy, good carbohydrates. For the most part, shelf stable. I mean, you kind of have to wash your sweet potatoes a little bit. Stuff that you can have on hand. And then you can incorporate that with some sort of a protein. So whether it's a chicken, turkey, meatballs, chicken meatballs are becoming quite popular. They're really delicious. A lean beef. I've got salmon and tuna. There's so many different things that you can do with those. And I always keep tuna on hand. That's a great protein that's shelf stable. Um, Eggs and beans. Beans sometimes are a highly overrated food, but you take some beans and maybe mix it with some brown rice and have a vegetable. That's a really healthy meal. It's budget friendly. It packs a punch for sure. And I think sometimes what we have to remember is during the week, it doesn't have to be completely glamorous. Again, it needs to fill us up, give us nutrients, provide health benefits. And then you can make something a little fancier when you've got more capacity and time. And then veggies, a list of veggies I've got here. These are some fresh veggies. I'm also a big proponent of the steamer veggies. They're ready in a couple minutes. You throw them in the microwave. Depending on how long your fresh veggies have sat in your refrigerator, the steamer veggies might actually be healthier for you too, or if you overcook your fresh veggies. So don't be afraid to use a frozen veggie that you can keep on hand. That way you always know that you've got some sort of veggie. Then as you're thinking about this no recipe approach, just remember that you want to try to have about a quarter of your plate carbohydrate, a quarter of your plate protein, and half of plate veggies if possible. We really want to increase our veggie intake, which I know can be a little bit difficult. They're going to keep you full. They have lots of nutrients, high fiber, really healthy. So try to find a way to really incorporate veggies if you can. And then let's put the meal plan into action. So pick a day that you want to create your meal plan. For me, it's Sundays. It might be Wednesdays for you. I'm not, each of us is a little different depending on the number of meals we're planning. Is it for a month out? Is it not? But I try to pick a day that I'm going to plan my meals and then do my shopping around the same time. Again, how will you shop? Will you do online? Do you go in person? Is that, is online shopping, is pickup even an option for you? Um, is the a lot of times people tell me getting to the grocery store is one of the main roadblocks that they have. So if that's the case, what other alternatives do we have to getting to the grocery store? And then for me, once I've done the shopping, it's also prepping. Often, as I'm putting groceries away, I don't even put the produce into the refrigerator. It goes right next to the sink so that I can get it cleaned up and ready to use before I even put it away. Out of sight, out of mind. So as long as I can plan my meals, get the food, prep the food, now I've set myself up for me for the next week to really um, eat healthy, have the time to make the foods I need to. And so it's all of that goes into what meal planning is. But as you've done your meal planning, I also don't want you to forget to watch your food budget. So something to keep in mind is, how much are you spending on food at the grocery store, at a convenience store, vending machines, going out, stopping on your way home? That all adds up really quick. So keep track of those. And then once you start actually doing meal planning, do you see that it goes down a little bit? Or do you see that you're strategically putting in time that you're going to be going out for dinner with the family? And so that just becomes part of your meal plan versus spending money on groceries, not eating them, and then going out to dinner where you've now just double paid for a meal essentially. And then planning meals based on your nutritional needs. So sometimes there are families where different people in the home have different nutritional needs, whether it's allergies, foods that they need to incorporate, they can't incorporate. So meal planning really helps with not having to make as many double meals. A lot of times you can take somebody with a food allergy and find meals that are going to work for everybody. Um, and so just kind of taking again that time, what are the foods we want? What substitutions can be made so that we can have more people eat on the same food? It's going to help not only with your time, but with your food budget as well. And then what tools and resources do you need? So is it certain apps? Is it your list of different food items for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or for main entrees and vegetables and sides? Is it that you need to go to the grocery store? Do you work off of the flyers from the grocery store on what's on sale? Just know what you need and make sure you have all of that readily available before you start your meal planning. And then finally, as I have said, remember, start slow and enjoy planning what you will eat. Eating is meant to be fun. We need to eat. It's a source of energy, it's a source of nutrients. It helps to keep us healthy. But in the process, we can definitely enjoy the food that we're eating. Thank you so much for the time today. And I look forward to wonderful meal planning ahead for you. Have a great day. Thank you.